Assalamualaikum. Hi folks, I'm Tengku Nara of Nara Martial Arts Academy, and for this video tonight I would like to talk a bit about the traditional Malay weapon known as the keris. Okay, I have here an example from the late 18th to probably early 19th century. This type of keris was rather common back then on the west coast of the Malay Peninsula, and actually the keris is a symbol or an identity of the person who wears it. Okay, for example, you can tell the origin of somebody, where he came from, by looking at his keris, right? You can also tell by looking at the keris, by his weapon. You can also tell his social status, even perhaps his rank, because every keris was unique to its owner. The keris represented the owner. So tonight I'm not going to talk about the keris as a weapon. I'm going to talk about the keris as part of the traditional Malay dress. Okay, alright, but before that I would like to show you two examples of old keris. Okay, this one, as I said, is from the west coast. This is from the east coast. Okay, they might look similar to you, but to somebody who is used to these weapons, or to a Malay who is well versed with the keris, you can tell that this came from the west coast, this came from the east coast, the northeast, to be more exact. All right, what's the main difference between these two? I'm not going to get into that, but what I can tell you is that, okay, if somebody wears this, back then people would know he came from perhaps Patani or Kelantan, thereabouts. Okay, but if somebody had this on his waist, he should be from areas of, say, Johor, Negeri Sembilan, Melaka, perhaps. And if somebody were to be wearing something like this, okay, this is a contemporary example, this is a new one, but this style of sheath, okay, this part is called the sampe. This style of sampe comes from Perak, the middle part of the peninsula. Okay, so that is to say geographical locations. It's basically your 18th century identity card. So somebody wearing this, going to the north, for example, people would know that, oh, this guy came from the south. Okay, and it is also often proof of where the person came from. He could say, oh, I came from the north, from Kedah, for example, but he's wearing something like this. So people would know that this person is not telling the truth. Okay. Other than to tell the geographical location of the owner of the keris, the keris also told people about who he was. Okay, was he a warrior? Was he a court official? Was he, say, a journeyman? Was he a trader? Okay, every class of occupation, shall we say, had their own specific types of keris. So when you have a look at it, you will know that, okay, this is somebody. Okay, you look at it, okay, this person could be the head of the village, for example, or this person could be a prince. This person could be a panglima or a warlord. Okay, based on his keris, even though he's not in full attire, he was just wearing pants and sampin or something like that. But with that keris on him, it tells people that he is this person. Okay, and often back then, when the king wanted to deliver some sort of decree, usually it's a death sentence, he would just send his keris. So when the person sees, oh, it's the king's keris, that means there's a high likelihood that he is not going to live for long. Okay, so firstly, geographical location. Secondly, the person's social status, social standing. And on that second part, how do you tell it? How do you tell the difference between a village chieftain and a court official or a warlord, for example? Okay, you can look at the dressing of the keris itself. This is a rather simple, a plain example. Okay, but the owner, the previous owner, or rather the original owner of this keris, was a warrior, what we call a pendekar. Yeah, pendekar is a warrior who resides in a typical village. Okay, he's the go-to guy. Okay, when there's trouble, people will look for him. He is the warrior there, and he trains other warriors. So often he is known as a pendekar. Okay, whereas if you look at something like this, for example, okay, there's silver filigree work here. There are 3 bands. Some say that these bands represent how many villages, or how many how shall we say, areas that the person was in charge of. Okay, so if this belonged to a court official, that means he had 3 villages or 3 districts. That was the word I was looking for. 3 districts under him. So he was in charge of 3 districts. And the silver decoration shows that this keris belonged to somebody of importance. Okay, and if we look at the blade of this keris, okay, there is this silver dot there. There's a bit of silver there. Okay, according to some people, that shows that this keris belonged to a person of substance, to somebody important. Okay, alright, so you can basically tell the person's social standing based on his keris. Let's take this for example. Okay, the hilt. The previous 2 had hilts made of wood, while this one, the hilt is made of bone. Okay, and when you have exotic materials incorporated into the weapon, it shows that it belonged to somebody of importance. Okay, of important social status, or a rich guy perhaps. Okay, not saying that I'm rich, but this is what the keris, if somebody was wearing this back then 200 years ago, that was what people would have thought of him. And in some cases this type of hilt, or rather this material, were only worn by royalty. So if you see somebody walking around with a bone or ivory hilted keris, that means do not mess with that person. In fact, don't mess with anybody with a keris. Which brings me to the third point. A wearer of the keris normally is somebody who knows how to use the keris. Okay, but even though he knows how to use the keris, it is not somebody who would use it on a whim. So if somebody were to piss him off, for example, it would not be easy for him to just draw the blade and kill somebody. No. You see, it was considered an honor to wear one of these. So not just anybody can wear them. You need to earn the right to wear this. So in order for somebody to earn the right to wear it, there are certain criteria that you have to adhere to. Okay, for example, this person, a wearer of the keris is somebody who is trustworthy, is somebody who is just, somebody who is patient, somebody, basically a gentleman. Okay, in the West we have this idea of chivalry. In the Malay lands, okay, the Malay states, somebody with a keris is a chivalrous person. You might call him a knight. Okay, but a knight is an official title. But this person, who wears the keris, he should have the values of a knight. He should practice the values of a knight. Okay, only then would he be allowed to wear one of these. Okay, so where does that bring us? Now in the 21st century, especially in Malaysia, we are trying to revive this custom of wearing the keris. We are trying to tell the people that if you see somebody in full traditional dress with a keris on his side, do not be warned, do not be alarmed, do not be scared. This person knows what he's doing. He wears the keris to show that he is a gentleman. Okay, a friend of mine put it as being an elegant gentleman, not a barbarian. Okay, it's the total opposite. So if somebody were to wear the keris and behave in an unruly manner, then that means that person does not understand the attitude and the responsibility that comes with the keris. So he should not be wearing it in the first place. Okay, that is what we are trying to educate the people about. So we want the people to know that anybody wearing the keris is actually somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can depend on, somebody that is a righteous person, basically. So that is the ideal of wearing a keris. If you do not have these virtues, then you do not earn the right to wear a keris. Alright folks, so till our next video, this is Tengku Nara signing off. Stay home, stay safe, and till we meet again, may peace be upon you. Assalamualaikum.